right, this week in English, we are talking about making inferences. So basically, inferencing is when you use clues in the text to discover what is not already said in the story or text, okay? So it's a little bit like predicting because you use clues in the text to think about what happens next. This is kind of looking at what things could mean in the text, okay? So we're thinking a little bit deeper about some of the different things that are happening. So let's start with this one and do some practice. Omer is getting his shin guards on. His mother brings him his cleats. "Where's your ball?" asked Omer's mom. "I think it is still in the backyard from practice yesterday. I'll grab it." Omer grabs his ball and runs to the car. He is so excited for today. Him and his team have been practicing so hard. They really want to win today. So we need to kind of figure out or infer in the story what sport Omer is playing, and we need to look at the clues. We need to find out where they're going and how do we know, because those are the things that it doesn't really tell us, right? So if he has shin guards and cleats and a ball, chances are he's probably going to be playing football. Okay, so that's a good one. And he had a practice yesterday, so they really want to win today. Him and his team have been practicing so hard. They really want to win today. He's probably going to a football game or a soccer game, maybe a match. So that is inferencing. So we've looked at who, what, when, where, and how, okay? Let's try it again. The teacher stood at the front of the room. "It's okay, I'll wait," she said. No one was listening. Oh, I feel like this is real life. The teachers kept patiently waiting. Eventually, she went over to the board and put a tally under the recess ode. As soon as she did, the kids started shushing their classmates. So what do you think the class was doing? Why do you think the teacher was waiting? And how do you know? Now, you probably know from real life, because I don't know how many times this has happened in our class, that probably the class was talking, okay? They're not listening, they're probably talking, right? Especially at the end when it says the students started shushing their classmates. So you need to kind of use what you know from real life as well as in the story. So if she's standing in the front of the room, what is the teacher waiting for? Probably to start a lesson, maybe to tell the kids something exciting, maybe just to tell them a funny joke, but she wants to talk to the whole class. So she's probably going to do a lesson, okay? And we know because we're looking at the inferencing. So we know that the class was talking because no one was listening, and as soon as the teacher put a tally under the recess ode, the students were shushing their classmates. And when we go shh, that means that people are talking, right? And the teacher was probably waiting, probably to teach a lesson because she's at the front of the room. If she was standing next to a kid, she would probably just want to talk to that one kid, right? But if she's at the front of the room, where do I do my lessons? Normally at the front of the room where everyone can see me. Or sometimes on the side of the room, or sometimes in the back of the room, just to, make it interesting. But normally front of the room, the teacher is ready to give a lesson. So we have one more. Pelé walked up holding a cucumber. He heard excited squeals coming from the cage. It was morning, and he knew they hadn't eaten yet. So what do you think Play is doing, and how do you know? So I want you to think back, and I want you to think back to Miss Julia's classroom, because she had some animals in there, and they really enjoyed eating cucumbers. So if you think about it, Play is probably feeding the guinea pigs cucumbers, or maybe a snake, because he could be since he's in Australia, there's lots of strange animals there, like he's been catching possums and stuff. So it could be any animal, but he's probably feeding something that comes from a cage, unless he's put all of us into a cage, and maybe we just need to eat cucumbers. Anything is possible, depending on what kind of a story this is. So up to you to decide, okay? So again, you are inferencing. Obviously, the most likely is that Play went to feed the guinea pigs. I don't know how often he actually fed the guinea pigs, but who knows? If it was a horror story, maybe he had put us all in cages. But we don't know what kind of story it actually is. So, inferencing, okay? Remember, inferencing is when we use evidence in the text to read between the lines, okay? We're looking at information and we're trying to find information that isn't actually said in the text, okay? So this week we are looking at inferencing. Last week we did predictions. So when we are making inferences, we need to answer who, what, when, where, and why. And these are the questions that the text doesn't say. Okay? So if you're still confused about inferencing, there are 2 videos here that you can click on in the PDF, and you can check those out. Okay? They're really good about inferencing. So we are using clues and what we already know to infer. Okay? And remember, you're going to infer who, what, when, where, and why. Okay? So this is different from predicting because we are not writing down something the text says. Our clues and background knowledge, they might not be in the text. So it's different from predicting because we don't want to know what happens next. Okay, we're not guessing what happens next. We are just using the information in the text to find out things that aren't said. Okay, so it's a little bit like predicting, but the information isn't in the text. So we need to use what we know and what we've read to help us answer these questions, okay? So here's another example, and then I'm going to tell you your work for today. So, a woman finished reading a story and closed the book. About 20 children got up from the carpet and went to a corner of the room. They began taking coats and hats off a hook. After putting on their coats and hats, the children lined up. So, I want you to tell me, where are the children going? So we are answering the where in the who, what, when, where, and why. And you need to tell me how you know that. So let's say that what do you think? They're taking their coats and hats off a hook. Then they put them on. Then they lined up. Where do you think they're going? Now, when we normally put our coats and hats on, where are we going? I guess we don't really wear coats and hats, but maybe in the winter. So probably they're going outside. So maybe it's the end of the day. Maybe they're going to go play outside. Maybe they're going out for lunch or recess. Maybe they're, going on a walk. Maybe they're just doing something cool outside. But chances are, if they're putting on their coats and hats, the children are going outside. And we know that because they are putting on their coats and hats. And why do you need a coat and hat inside? So chances are they are going outside. So I've used what I know about school. I've used what I know from this text. And I've inferred where the children are going. Okay? So for today, in your home learning journal, if you still have space, otherwise you can just use a piece of paper, you need to write the date, which is Monday, June 22nd, 2020, and your LO, which is I can make inferences. Okay, so just pause the video so you can do that. All right, so you have 2 things to answer, that's it. So in your page, you can put paragraph 2, because I did paragraph 1 with you. So paragraph 2 says, a boy asked his mother for help getting things off a shelf. She took down some jars and brushes, and the boy brought them back to the kitchen table. Next, he went to his mother's desk and took out a blank sheet of paper. He put the piece of paper on the kitchen table. Finally, the boy filled up a cup of water and sat down at the table with all of these things. What do you think the boy is going to do? So let's look at the text. So he needed jars and brushes, okay? So jars and brushes, put them on the kitchen table. He got a blank sheet of paper and put that on the kitchen table. And he filled a cup of water and sat down at the table with all of those things. So what do you need jars, brushes, paper, and water to do? Okay? Tell me your answer. What is the boy going to do? Okay? And if you want to use what I've underlined to help you with how you know, that's fine. You can go right ahead and use how you know. Or you can come up with other things. Maybe there's another thing that he's doing that I'm not seeing. Maybe I'm inferring it differently than you. And then your last one is paragraph 3. So again, you can write paragraph 3. A class of students walked with their teacher to a special room in their school. They sat down and a woman came out to read them a story. After she read them the story, the children began looking around at the shelves of books. Each student chose one book. The children lined up and the woman scanned their books using a special computer. When everyone was finished, the children left with their teacher and the woman stayed in the room. What is the woman's job? How do you know? So in our school, we have a man who does this job, just as a hint. Okay, so again, I need to find out what the woman's job is, so I need to figure out where the children have gone. So we have read them a story, okay, looking around at the shelves of books. The children lined up, the woman scanned their books, and then the children left. So they've come in, they've chosen a book, they were read a story, they were chosen a book, and then they had their books scanned. So what is the woman's job? And again, you can use the things that I've underlined to show how you know, because that is also an important part of your work today. But tell me, what is the woman's job and how do you know? So that's it. You just have to answer paragraph 2. What is the boy going to do? How do you know? Okay, try and give me 1 or 2 examples of how you know. 2 would be the best. And paragraph 3, you need to find out the woman's job and tell me how you know. Again, try and get 1 or 2 examples, and again, 2 would be good for 2 examples, okay? And that's it. You have today and tomorrow to complete this. You will have a new English video on Wednesday, so take your time, make sure you've done a really good job, and let's see how well you have inference.